Travelers. My name is Shasta Garcia, and you're watching Shasta's Journey. I don't know if you know this, but I was actually gone on a mission trip in Mexico for the last 3 months. I'm so excited to be back, and I have one of my best friends joining me on this episode. Her name is Michelle. She lives in Valley Springs, and she just recently went on a mission trip to Oaxaca and served at an orphanage for the last few months as well, and now she's making a huge step of faith, and I'm so excited for her to share this with you and to me because we haven't had a coffee date in a while, so it's going to be just two friends getting together and just talking about all of our adventures. So I'm so glad to have you back. It's so nice to see you again. But she's not staying for long.
No.
You're actually going to Nicaragua next week.
I leave on Monday.
Oh my goodness.
So it's soon.
Yes.
Like a few days, and then I'm off for
really
9 months.
Is. Oh my goodness. So at what point did you decide to, you want to go back to Nicaragua for a long period of time?
I've always wanted to go back to Nicaragua for a longer period of time. I had my first mission trip there when I was 16, and I always told people, I'm going to go live there. And everyone was like, no, she's not. But here I am. I'm going to live in Nicaragua. So I've always wanted it. I just didn't have the opportunity until recently. So
it's pretty awesome to see that anything is possible. I see this through your life. I know when I was in Mexico, she's like, how are you feeling about leaving? Not so good. And then she's like, stay. I'm like, I can't just stay. She just has faith that's just so abundant and full, and I just love seeing it. So for those of you who don't know Michelle, I would love for her to tell you a little bit about kind of how she got into mission trip work and just kind of how her faith has weaved into how she's serving around the world.
So I went on my first mission trip when I was 16 years old to Nicaragua, to a community called Chorotega, and I just fell in love with the community, and mostly I just fell in love with mission work. I always kind of had a desire to do mission work. I would tell my parents when I was younger, I want to be a missionary, and they're like, hold on, you got to be called to be a missionary. You can't just decide, I'm going to be a missionary and go. But God put that in me at a really young age, so when I went to Nicaragua, it totally affirmed what I was feeling and what God was stirring in me as a little girl. So I had 3 opportunities to go back to Nicaragua, and then this time after my time in Oaxaca, I decided that I was just so close that I might as well go back to Nicaragua to visit friends, and I went and was presented with an opportunity to work there long term, and I took it. So
I know for me, I think it's amazing that you're stepping out in faith and you're doing it, but at the same time, it scares me, how do you come to the conclusion, I'm going to leave all of this stuff behind and go? I mean, I know that I have experienced that, but at the same time, you're moving there. So how are you comprehending everything?
I haven't, thought about it too much. I'm going to be honest. I haven't really given it too much thought, because then I'm just going to, talk myself out of it or think myself out of it. And I just have this peace in me, and there are times when I feel nervous, what am I doing? You're going to Nicaragua, by yourself. You're crazy. But you know what? I haven't given it way too much thought because I tend to overthink. So I just have decided not to overthink this, just to step out in faith and just be faithful to God's call for my life.
I like that, not overthinking, because that's just something that we all have trouble doing.
Yes.
And I know when it comes to the point where you are about ready to make that leap of faith and you're about ready to step out into faith, there's always these rocks, these walls standing in the way. So it would be great to kind of hear some of those things that you're going through. I know before every single trip I go through things, and it just kind of leaves you wondering.
Yeah.
And grasping for hope and certainty.
I think that whenever we're on the verge of greatness, or whenever we start to pursue God's call for our life, the devil, he doesn't like that. It's threatening to him. So he always puts the obstacles there. And the thing that we have to remember is God is still with us, and God still wants us to do those things, but the devil's going to be constantly throwing things at you to be well, he could throw fear at me and say, you're crazy, you should be terrified to go live in Nicaragua, or some of the things with me are he's making me anxious about certain things, just kind of trivial things, things about my apartment, plates. For kind of a recent frustration is what kind of plates am I going to bring? And it's like the littlest thing, but it starts building up. And that's how I've noticed with my experience getting ready for this, it's the little tiny things that are building up, like clothes and plates and cups and silverware and like all these random things that I didn't think that I needed before or didn't think about bringing. It's like, oh my gosh, I have to bring a bath mat, or like I have to bring my own towels, or like little things like that really are just so trivial. Those are the kind of little ways that the devil's been trying to just get in my mind and kind of just make me anxious. So.
It's certainly a lot to think about. I know before and after and during trips, you were constantly experiencing those little trips, those little falls.
Yes.
And I know that Nicaragua is a huge part of your life currently because that's her next step of faith, and so excited to see where that journey takes her. But a huge part of the last few months was in Oaxaca.
Yeah.
And because I have a connection to the same organization, Foundations for His Ministries, as you, I'd love to hear what Oaxaca is all about. I haven't personally seen it for myself, but I know that your words can just bring it all to life. And I know you were going through so much. So what are some faith stepping stones that you experienced throughout your trips in Oaxaca?
My time in Oaxaca, God kind of restored me there. Before I went, I had some personal things in my life that were just little things that just started building up that the devil really used to bring me down. And while I was in Oaxaca, I had a time of healing there. There was a lot of restoration while I was there, and God just kind of put me in peace. Like He put me in this state of peace. And it's kind of strange. I'll tell people this, and they're like, "What? You're crazy." God used lice to teach me a lot. And I know that you had lice too. I had lice. When you live with 15 little girls, you get lice. I got it twice. And then I cut my hair because when I came back, it was like down here, and I was just like cut it all the way off. But God used lice to teach me a lot about His love and His character. It was so interesting because the first few weeks when I was there, I was like, what am I doing here? Like, what is my purpose here? I know I was texting you like, what am I doing here, Shasta? Like, this is crazy. But I think a few days in, they asked me to start doing lice treatments with the girls. And as I was sitting there, I was like, God, just show me something. And He was like, just pay attention, just be here now, and I'll show you what I need to show you. And He taught me about His love and His patience and His gentleness through lice. Mm-hmm. So it ended up being like the most immense blessing to do lice treatments every single day for several hours a day. But it was awesome. It was awesome. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
What would be the lesson that you learned from life specifically, like in words, per se?
God's patience. It takes, patience and strategy. It takes a lot of patience to actually extract the lice on both my part and the girl's part. And then I got to experience that when someone was picking at my hair. It takes a lot of patience to sit there, and God is like, I'm very patient with you, and just be patient with me. And the strategy part was like, I don't know if you had the experience of like actually picking out the lice out of a girl's hair, but everyone has like a different strategy. Mm-hmm. Like I section it off like into little ponytails, and then I go through each section and pick and then do different treatments. So God showed me that He's very strategic. And even though, we have these things in our hair or these things in our life that are just kind of sucking away at us, like God is slowly and strategically plucking those things from our life, and He's always there. He has strategy, We don't go through trials for no reason. So He really taught me that through the lice. It's kind of an interesting lesson to learn.
That deserves to be quoted. So it's just like lice. He plucks the things out of our life. That was so great.
And He takes the things away that we don't need. And that was something else too, is sometimes He just, He's doing it for our own good, even though it's not fun to sit for hours and have someone pull at your hair. Mm-hmm. God, sometimes He takes those hurtful things out of our life because He cares about us too much to let us just be there.
I feel so blessed to have you in my life because we have both experienced so many of the same things, and it's so nice to be able to connect with somebody. I called her in complete panic when I got lice, and my mom, can I come home? Just joking, obviously. Did you panic when you first got it? Because I know I did.
panicked so bad.
And it wasn't even that big of a deal, but you're just like...
You just freak out. Oh my gosh. I was freaking out, and all the girls were around me because, it's just a normal, everyday thing for the girls in my house. So they started coming around. They're like, Michelle, what's wrong? I was like, I have lice. And they're like, it's not a big deal. Like, we'll just help you. And I was like, no, just leave me alone. Just everyone leave me alone. And actually, one of the house fathers for the teenage boys, he came over and he sat all the girls down on the bench, and he's like, okay, we know that it's normal for you to have lice, but it's not normal for Michelle to have lice. Like, this is a big deal for her. And they were just like so like in shock that I was so like upset and distraught about lice. They're like, whatever, it's just lice. Like, it's just a normal everyday thing. And I'm like, it's not normal.
I know that the viewers are probably thinking that we're crazy right now. Because lice is like something you don't laugh about here.
No,
it's like
it's not very serious.
But I'm laughing because it was a huge learning experience.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
So what exactly were your purposes in Mexico? I know you kind of struggled with kind of finding your identity of exactly why God called you in Oaxaca. So what type of things did you experience that really fulfilled that question that you had of your purpose there?
Well, I was doing kind of everyday tasks when I first went. I was working in the kitchen. I worked in the library, helped organize the school library there. I got the opportunity to teach an English class, which was an immense blessing because I love teaching, and I love teaching the English classes. They're just super fun. Mostly, though, my purpose was lice. Like, that was my purpose. Lice, and then just the everyday activities, like taking the kids to school or just getting them dressed or doing their hair or just kind of being there, being like a surrogate mother, like a fill-in mom for especially the girls. I bonded with all of the kids, but I was living in the house with the girls, and you build these amazing bonds with these kids, and they're all so special and they're all so unique. And I think that was my purpose, just to build those bonds. And through the lice, because we're together for several hours after school, it's like you go straight to the table, and I was there and we're ready to do lice. So these girls started opening up to me about what they'd been through, and they just confided in me. So that was an amazing blessing for me.
And you actually speak Spanish, which probably helped a little bit.
A little bit.
Okay, so I don't think I've heard you speak Spanish. Can you say something?
Hola. Me llamo Michelle. Estoy tan feliz de estar aquí contigo.
You're going to only be here for a little longer. Is that what you said?
I'm happy to be here.
Oh, close enough, Shasta. I dreamt in Spanish the other day. It was pretty cool. Have you done that before?
Yeah, just once, but it was kind of a surreal experience.
It's like, wow, my brain's actually thinking in Spanish. It's pretty awesome. What type of relationships did you build with the kids that are just really strategic in your memories of you being at the orphanage?
So one thing kind of pops out in my mind. There was a little girl there, and her name was Oxacca. So cute, so adorable. She had these little glasses, just precious little girl. We went to this place up in the mountains, and it was like a natural hot springs, and it was raining, and it was just like, it was not a good day to go, but we went with people who were kind of tourists, and they really wanted to go see it. So I was walking with her, and she was wearing flip-flops, and it's just pouring down rain, and she's just slipping all over the place, and she turns to me, and she's like, Michelle, my flip-flop just broke. Like, what do I do? And I was like, don't panic. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just a kid. I don't know how to, like, be a mom or, like, go into mom mode and help this little girl. So I was, like, looking around. Just, like, looking around for anything I could use. So I found a trash bag, and I wrapped it around her foot and kind of, like, tied her flip-flop to her foot. And I don't know what happened, but we bonded over this kind of strange experience, and we were just kind of, like, attached at the hip for the rest of the day. And near the end of our trip, like, Azucena was kind of like my little pal. She was always there with me, so we had a really special bond. And just weird little things like that help you bond with the kids, like just kind of the everyday things that you don't think about. Sometimes even disciplining a kid, they'll bond with you. It's like you'll see them do something crazy, and you're like, hey, and then they're bonded with you. So but that was a very special bonding experience that I had with her. And it really just set the stage for a really good relationship.
I definitely know how that is.
Yeah.
It was so heartbreaking leaving them. I'm not gonna cry right now. So continuing. It's about funny, Michelle. I'm still going.
It's not funny. It's not funny. I totally get it.
Still going through
I get
a process.
it. I get it.
Just letting it all go.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so awesome. I really, really do. So you were actually living in the houses with the kids.
Yeah. I had my own little entrance, but I didn't get much peace. It was constantly like knocking on my door, Michelle, come out, come do this, come do that. So
I took care of 7 babies and heard crying and screaming and blah, blah, blah all the time. And I loved it.
and it was awesome.
I mean, I get the whole nut and peace thing. But I think it's really important to reflect kind of how we perceive Foundation for His ministries to be, because when you say the word orphanage, people get this whole idea, and I think it's really important to show how incredible Foundation for His ministry is, and
really is.
What great lives these little kids are able to live through this ministry.
Absolutely. Something I notice about Foundation for His is they take care of their kids so well. Even after they're 18 years old, they're still taking care of the kids. There's one woman, she's 25 now, and she grew up in the orphanage, and she's a doctor. She has a job as a doctor, but she's always welcome to come back. And while I was there, they were actually helping her find an apartment in Mexico City. So, like, they drove up with her, like just like a parent would. They drove up with her, and they looked at different apartments, and they helped her financially. They take care of their kids. And I haven't seen that. I know that there are other orphanages that do, but mostly from what I've seen with orphanages is they just kick kids out at 18. It's like, you're on your own now, and they definitely do not do that. They take care of their kids through and through. So I think that's something unique and very special about Foundation for His.
I couldn't agree more. It truly is. And it's not just an orphanage. I mean, I don't know exactly the ministries that are incorporated into the ministry in Oaxaca, but I would love to hear just some of the things that are going on at the mission there.
I think Oaxaca is a little bit smaller, so it is primarily an orphanage. I know that Baja has a lot of different,
so many
a lot of
different daycare, a school, a clinic, a soup kitchen,
not
church,
like that.
Everything.
Definitely not like that. It's very small. I think it's probably 5 acres, the whole thing.
Wow. But it's beautiful.
It is. It's absolutely beautiful.
Gorgeous. I mean, I haven't seen it, but from pictures.
Yeah. It's absolutely beautiful. One of the ministries they had there, which ended up being one of my favorite ministries, is prison ministry. And in the prison ministry, we go and we visit the parents of the kids who are there. Because many of the kids who are in this orphanage, they're not like what we would consider an orphaned child. Their parents are just in the prison, which is right across the street. So there were several occasions where we got to go into the prison and just talk with the parents or just meet other women there. And that was kind of, it was a very surreal experience, because you walk in and some of the women who live there, they have their children with them, because they don't know what to do with their kids. So the children will actually live with these women
in the prison?
In the prison. So it's like a community, because you walk in and kids are like riding their bikes, and moms are just, sitting on the side or like sewing or doing just kind of everyday things. So it was like a community. But it was such a blessing to go into the prison and just speak with these ladies and just talk with them about what God's doing in their life. And I think we kind of see the prison as like a hopeless situation, like these women couldn't possibly know God or all this stuff. And there are lots of wonderful God-fearing women in the prison, and it was just a blessing to just sit with them and share with them and just be with them. So.
I haven't experienced anything like that, but it sounds really, really incredible.
It was absolutely amazing.
And I'm just curious to know, was there any point in your journey in Oaxaca that just really, really stands out to you?
A point that stands out to me. I think there was a particular day when I was doing lice treatment, and one of the girls, teenage girl, she sat with me, and I have a cool story about her. I don't know if we have time. Can I share?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just kind of share a background. Before I went to Mexico, God impressed on me just a name. And I didn't know what the name was. I didn't know if it was a church. I didn't know what it was. But he told me to start praying for Guadalupe. And I know it kind of sounds crazy, but God just said, pray for Guadalupe. So I thought maybe it was like a church or an organization or something. So I started praying. I don't know what Guadalupe is. I don't know if it's a person, but I'll pray for Guadalupe. And my first day there was a little girl. well, not a teenage girl, still a little girl. Her name was Guadalupe. And this is like the girl I'd been praying for weeks before I even arrived. And there was a day when she came up and she sat down at the table, and she's very standoffish. She doesn't have a lot of friends at the orphanage, and she told me her testimony. She told me all that had happened to her in her life, and we bonded a lot, and she felt comfortable telling me those things, those private things that she had not confided in anyone else. So that was a very special experience for me, and it was just so neat to see how God orchestrates things. Like, he impressed on me to pray for her, and I never told her that. I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. Be like, I've been praying for you for weeks. I just, I was just there for her, and I was able to build like a friendship with her, which was just amazing.
Without a doubt, it's a lot different from going there 1 week and serving just as a visitor, but going there and becoming staff and really just investing all your time and energy into the kids. You truly get to build those relationships that you just don't get otherwise. And I know for me personally, I had moments of complete heartbreak and devastation. And I think it was more towards, when I had to say goodbye, obviously. But were there any of those moments that you just felt like a desire, like a hold, like a tug to stay there? Like, is there any moments of devastation?
It's really hard for me to say that I don't feel called to this specific orphanage in Mexico, because I had amazing experiences there. I love these kids. Like, the thought of not being with these children just breaks my heart, because I love them so much. But for me, really, my heart is in Nicaragua. It's kind of always been in Nicaragua, and being in Mexico, I kind of discovered, I love doing ministry and I love serving, but where my heart is it's very specific. I have a very specific call to Nicaragua. And I kind of learned that when I was leaving, because when I left, it was sad. I cried a little bit, and that was after months of being there. I went up to the community that I go to in Nicaragua, and I was there for 5 days, and I left, and I was just distraught. I was just snot coming out of my mouth. I just don't know when I'm coming back. And that kind of told me a lot about where my heart is. So I know that Nicaragua is my call, but really the thought of not being with the kids does break my heart a little bit.
Well, considering that her next step is going to Nicaragua, I'd love to just really focus on that and center in just kind of your purpose there and your journey going there. And so I've been telling people, I have this friend, and she's going to Nicaragua, and they're like, she's going to Nicaragua? What's she doing? Who's she going with? Is she going through an orphanage? Blah, 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 blah. So if I was somebody who didn't know anything, which I really don't know that much right now, what would you say? I know you're staying with friends, correct? Or
actually, no, I'm going to be staying on my own in Nicaragua. So my original intention was to go down there and live with a family. But since then, I've gotten my own apartment. I'm going by myself, and I'll be hooked in with a school there. So I'll be working at Niguargua Christian Academy International.
Wow.
So I'll be a teacher's aide for children with disabilities, which I'm really excited for. But no, I'm not going with an organization. I'm just going because I know I need to be there, and I guess I'll just figure it out when I'm there. But I do have a purpose there. I do have the school that I'll link in with down there. But.
Absolutely. Is there a way that people can support you? Is there?
If somebody wants to support me, I don't have any official anything. I was kind of thrown into this. I decided within a week that I was going, so I didn't set up anything. But if people want to support me, they can come find me. I don't
Do you have
really
an
know
email
what
or
to say.
anything?
Yeah, I have an email.
If you guys want to support Michelle, you guys can message me through my Facebook page or go on our website or something like that. But I know the difficulties of being a missionary, and you need support. It
Absolutely.
comes down to it. You need prayers. You need financial support. You just need people just rooting for you. Go Michelle. We should make her hashtag.
Go Michelle, hashtag go
You
Michelle.
actually have a blog.
I do.
I don't know if you're going to be keeping up with it, but I think that would be a really good thing to share with people, because I've been reading your blog, and it's just so encouraging and just so inspirational. So
I love the blog. The blog is kind of my little baby right now.
would you kind of elaborate? She has like this whole like theme going on of lioness.
Yes.
So like, where did that come from? Like, what is that to you, and how would you explain that to people?
I don't even know where it came from. It was so strange. I was sitting with my mom, and it was New Year's. We were just kind of hanging around the house, and I was like, I need a theme for 2016. And she's like, well, you know, think about what you want it to be. And it just, throughout the night, somehow this idea of lioness emerged. I'm like, lioness? So I started like searching lioness on like, because I don't know anything about lions. It's not like I like lions. I really don't. But I was just kind of searching for something that I could keep in the back of my mind that would just kind of build me up. And I was like, lioness. Lionesses are strong. They're independent. They go with the flow. Like, they're strong, and that's what I want to be. I want to be a strong woman who doesn't wait around for opportunities to just come and go. Like, I want to take opportunities and seize the day. Carpe diem. So, so lioness kind of became my theme. And it was so interesting. When I was in the Mexico City airport, I went to my gate and I looked up, and there was this huge, like, I don't know, like big sign or something, and it just had a picture of a lion. There was no advertisement, there was no nothing, and I was like, thank you, Lord. Like, that's a sign, like, lioness, like, be strong, be independent.
I saw your Facebook post about
just
that.
do it, just go. And that's really carried me a lot. I'm not saying that, you know, God hasn't carried me, because he's given me that strength, but just this idea of this character of a lioness has really helped me kind of come out of my box, because I've definitely come out of my box a lot and done things that I probably wouldn't normally do. I've been more independent, and I love it. So.
Without a doubt, I think you are truly a great representation of what an amazing woman of God does and should do. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to leave the country and serve, but there's always a purpose and something for you, whether it's here, whether it's in Mexico or Africa or wherever it is, but we all have individual purposes, and it's important to follow that. It's important to seek it and pursue it, because we constantly pass opportunities
we do.
Constantly. And you can't get tripped up over a little stumble, a little fall. It's not necessary.
No, it's not.
But I would love for you guys to be praying for Michelle and just encouraging her. So what are some things that people can be praying about? You have a quick change coming. You're about to take a huge leap of faith. She's leaving the country. I don't even know how long she's going to be gone. But what are some things that people can pray for you about?
It's just like safety, overall safety, and that I would just be bold, just to seize those opportunities and really just listen to the Lord and what he wants for me there. You know, just kind of put my own agenda aside and just kind of listen to God and do what he wants for me. So.
Well, I think this was a great makeup coffee day.
So.
We haven't been able to get together since I got back from Mexico, because I actually got a pneumonia, and she's been busy packing again, getting ready to leave. So I'm glad we have this time to just talk and share everything that she's doing and how her journey of life and where it's taking her. And I know we all have crazy journeys of life, and they all kind of intertwine. So I thank you guys so much for being a part of the intertwinedness within my life. And I have a Mexico episode coming very, very soon. So keep up to date with Shasta's Journey via our website, shastasjourney.com, and like us on Facebook at Shasta's Journey. I look forward to many more episodes with you guys. I'm so happy to be back. Bye-bye.